Well, maybe we should first introduce where we're at, what we're doing. So this is one of our first Elevate to Greatness events here at our home. So I'm Nick Liput. We got Justin Anderson with me from Minnesota. My boys, Jacob and Joshua from Cutting Edge. And we're just hanging out. You know, we're having dinner tonight. We're going to talk business. We're going to go through questions. It's basically an open book. Right? So whatever it is we want to discuss, we're going to throw it at me and each other and just try to grow together and build a better business. So one thing I would tell you that there's no dumb questions, that's for sure. And,
that's very generous of you, stupid people. Just stupid people.
I learned just as much from you guys as you guys learned from me. You may not think that, but every time we're together, there's definitely something that I pick up that I was unaware of. So, what something like this looks like. So Justin's here for 3 days, and I just spend a little time with myself, Rachel, the team. We got Avery in the house who does a bunch of our sales for us. Edgar will be here in just a little bit. He's one of our PMs, kind of runs all of our operations. So these guys will have access to our team just to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it, and how we scaled as fast as we scaled. So my beautiful wife's over there in the kitchen, probably making something that's too good for us to really enjoy.
Let's go, Rachel.
So throughout the night, though, we'll kind of go in and out, so you guys can kind of see what we're doing here. Well, Rachel, what are you making over there? Prime rib.
Oh boy.
Ooh, that's not gonna suck.
I'm very excited for that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Too good for us.
So we switched up the event a little bit. Usually we would do a couple days in the office and then have a day out on the golf course or something, but Colorado's weather is a little uncertain this weekend. So Justin and I, Rachel and his wife, decided to hit the golf course today, and we're gonna go through business stuff over the next couple of days when the weather will not allow us to be outside. So it's been a pretty good day. The weather's super enjoyable. We're here in my backyard, which obviously looks like spaces we built. So we have a decorator's outdoor living space here, bell guard, fire pit. We got waterfalls here back in the background. It's just a super cool place to relax and enjoy and hang out and talk shop.
Have conversations like this.
Yeah. So, Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
Sure.
The man.
The man. Well, I'm 26 years old. I've been in business since I was 12 years old, and started mowing lawns. Pretty basic stuff. I think most of our stories start out that way. And business has grown me like nothing else. If you're a true entrepreneur, you will grow more than any school that you go to, I'd say by far. One quote I like to say is, we train with live bullets, and that's what business is. Every single day, you're not responding to a test, you're responding to an actual scenario on the field, and that's really when your skill set is pushed to the limit. Yeah. And so how you respond to those scenarios is how you're going to continue to respond in every scenario that pops up, whether you're a $1 million company or a $10 million company. It's those moments that grow you so you can handle those bigger problems.
What are your responsibilities at Cutting Edge?
My responsibilities at Cutting Edge is I'm over marketing, I'm over sales, and I'm over operations. The day-to-day is just making sure every single one of those areas in our company are running effectively and smoothly. So I'm in constant contact with our marketing team. I'm in contact with our sales guys. I help out a little bit with the sales right now. And then with operations, I like to make sure I know decently what's going on, and I make sure all the crews are running effectively. So, yeah.
What about you, Joshua?
Yeah, we pat off of that. So, me and Jacob are brothers. Anybody who didn't catch on to that, we run Cutting Edge Pros out of Castle Rock, which is here pretty close to Nick Liput. But
literally, they're doing work 5 doors down.
We are doing that. I will not deny.
We've both been on the same project.
It was good. It was good. But Nick is a phenomenal businessman and an individual, and he both reminded us and engaged where the only true competition in business is yourself. and you're limited to your own ability to grow and push past things. So myself, me and Jacob are 50-50 business partners in Cutting Edge Pros. We do landscape, but specialize in outdoor living, so decks, patios, now pools and spas. And so with that, I manage 4 sections of the categories of the company. Department-wise, I manage technology and data, and I manage administration, finance, and then HR/people.
Which is the hardest?
Ooh, right now, technology and data, because we're not big enough to hire the talent that's required to be able to effectively do it in-house. But we're growing quick enough to know that it's very, very required to get the reports in a speedily manner where you have to make decisions on the fly. If you don't have data, you can't do that. So that one's hard. People and HR, I would say, if you do it wrong, becomes the hardest. Luckily, we've been very blessed. We're a Christian company. We've been able to hire people who are down with similar culture. Obviously, you don't have to be Christian to work with us, but we have to be able to acknowledge the core values, which is pointing to something bigger than yourself, helping others, helping the people you work with by adding value through quality and relationships.
Love that. Very nice.
That's myself.
Appreciate that. How about you, Justin? Give us the rundown.
Well, I'm a 50% owner in my company out of Minnesota. We're doing the same exact thing as Nick. I found Nick 2 years ago, I believe, and
Almost 2 years ago. Oh, almost 2 years ago.
I knew you were doing great things, and I said that's what I want to do. So here we are. All of a sudden, we're pushing to do swimming pools this year. We've been installing decks for over a year, and before that, it's just landscapes.
What made you build decks?
I called you one day and I said, what if I told my brother to come out here and build decks with me? He was in Montana at the time. So I gave him 50% of the company, and now it does 50% of our revenue and is scaling faster than I'm scaling my side.
Okay. What do you think your revenue is going to be this year?
We're going to be a little bit over $2.5 million.
$2.5 million. What was last year?
Under $1 million.
That's some good growth.
Yeah. We set up a great foundation, but we had a marketing problem. And I didn't know what our problem was. I remember I called you last fall. I said, Nick, we're doing everything right, but we're not selling enough jobs. And I was in my own rut, in my own narrow mind here, as we all can get. And you said, how much are you spending in marketing? And I think it was less than $2,000 or $3,000. And you're like, wow. And how much did you do in business? And I can't remember where we were at, but the conclusion was we needed to spend 4 or 5 times what we spent last year to get to our goals for this year. And it was a slow start. Now we've upped our budget to where we're supposed to be, and all of a sudden we're taking off like crazy. So I can't keep up on bids.
I remember you told me, you're like, Nick, I'm going to hire someone else for marketing. And I said, oh yeah, why is that? And you said, because the flow's not enough.
Yeah.
And I said, I bet that your revenue is within 5%, based on the 5% you should spend in marketing. What was it?
4.9.
4.9. 4.9.
He always knows, guys. If you don't know this, when he makes a guess, you might as well not consider it a guess. You should be like, oh, that's what it is.
Proven track record.
Proven track record.
Well, I mean,
Tell
for
them
those
about
who were on the
yourself.
call Wednesday, we talked about numbers, and more numbers.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know, every Wednesday he does a free mentorship call for about an hour. I think in our time, MST, it's 6 to 7. I would highly recommend it. I've been so blessed by just listening to him talk sales, finance, numbers, the amount of ingenuity he brings to the table. Gets your gears turning quicker than anybody else I've talked to, and I talk to a lot of people in this industry. Yeah. So I'd highly recommend poking at that, DMing, and asking how you get on it.
Yeah, I was just trying to blow up my ego.
No, but I will add to that. It doesn't matter if you're a $1 million company or you're a $20 million company. You have stuff you can learn from Nick. So definitely be there. You got a lot to learn for sure.
Well, appreciate that. So Justin asked for me to tell a little bit about myself. So
Yeah.
my name's Nick Liput. I own Rocky Mountain Outdoor Living here in Colorado. I scaled the business from 1.2 to 10 million in 36 months. Looking at doing some different acquisitions this year. Without the acquisitions, we're projected to do about 12 million. And as of today, we're dead on track. If the acquisitions go through, we'll go to 20 million. So basically 1.2 to 20 million in 4 years. Under the umbrella of Cardone Ventures and Grant Cardone and Brandon Dawson and Natalie Dawson, I have some great mentors. Right? My mentors have done every single thing that I've done in this. We talk about numbers and you might think $10 million is big. These guys are at 150 million, 250 million, 500 million. Brandon's now a billionaire. So the guys that I'm chasing are in places that I never even dreamed about. So Justin asked me a funny question last night. He said, "Hey, what's your first jet look like?" And I said, "Oh, I got 36 months to figure it out." So one of my goals is to fly to Costa Rica on a private jet in less than 36 months. And then Abraham, who's behind the camera that nobody can see right now, will remind you that it's no longer 36 months, it's 33 months. Because I made that goal 3 months ago. I got a lot to do, but that's my story. Rachel and I are really big in helping others. This year, one of our thoughts is that our success comes from the success of others, right? So we've been pretty successful, right? There's a lot more to come, but this year we decided to give back. I was at an event in Cabo with Brandon and Natalie Dawson and some other amazing business owners, and they've been asking me to do stuff like this for a long time. And I'm like, "You don't understand, I can't do it." They're like, "What do you mean you can't do it?" I said, I can't get in front of camera, you just don't understand. So I was down by the beach, it was like, I don't know, 10:30 at night. I was smoking a cigar with somebody that I can't even remember his name, which is super unfortunate because he said something to me this year that really hit me. And he said, "Nick, you know what the problem is? You think it's about you, but it's not. It's about everybody else." And he said, "It's no longer about you, right? It's about you giving back." And that really hit hard. And I thought about it, went to bed that night. The next day I was inside of one of the mentorship programs thinking about it, and I was at dinner and I was sitting at the table and I was like, "You know what, you're right." I was like, "This guy is totally right." I walked away, I grabbed my phone, I recorded a couple of videos real quick and let everybody know that all the things that I learned this year, and one of them was it's no longer about me. So I opened it up. I'm trying to give back. I'm trying to help others grow and scale their business like I did inside of the outdoor living space. Swimming pools, carpentry, decks, patio covers, patios, kitchens, fireplaces, you name it. If it's on the outside of your house, we do it. So I'm just looking to help others grow and scale their business inside of the same vertical that I'm in.
I love that. And one thing on that point where it's not about you, right? I heard a quote from C.S. Lewis. It goes, "Being selfless isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less."
Yeah, I like that.
And that really hit me. It's like it's not derogatory. It's not being self-sabotaging. It's truly just being like, I care about you, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
It's not I'm thinking about me. I really like that you have that heart of that matter dialed and focused on why you do what you do.
Yeah.
Why? To add value.
Well, you've always had that, though. I mean, I called you 2 years ago. It was the darkest of times for my business. I don't know, we probably talked several times a month for a stretch there just to get through it that time. And I mean, you were always able to help, and I was like, how can I repay you? And I couldn't.
Yeah.
But it was always, I'm here to help, and I thought that was amazing.
Well, and it's not about the money, right? Like, you guys can see our home, right? You can see our lifestyle. We're pretty comfortable, right? We enjoy what we do. We're lucky enough to be members at a country club, play golf 2 to 4 times a week. Again, Rachel and I are not concerned about, how much the grocery bill is at Costco, or how we're going to put gas in our car, or, what any of that looks like. So when Justin reached out actually a couple years ago, I met Justin in Vail at another mentorship event actually.
Yep.
And I remember everybody in this event was pretty loud, right? They were all flashy and fancy coats and Rolexes and big lifted trucks.
What you got against fancy coats?
Nothing. We'll get to that story in a minute. And
I had a pretty
actually
fancy
felt-
coat.
I actually felt a little uncomfortable inside this room myself, and we went around the room and everybody introduced themselves and basically said, "Why are you here?" So I stood up and I said, I remember exactly what I said. I said, "One of my goals this year is to get uncomfortable, and I am uncomfortable as hell inside of this room right now." So, and there were a lot of good people there. There's no doubt. But I remember Justin and his wife. They were sitting on the couch, just kind of up in the corner. They didn't say all that much, right? They absorbed everything. I don't even know that we really had that much of a conversation.
No, it was actually very lucky. We were about to leave one evening, and I knew you were only there for that first day. I was like, I just have to talk to Nick. I didn't know why. I still don't know why, but we talked for less than 5 minutes. I got your phone number, or maybe I just followed you on Instagram, and then from there I got your phone number. And in the last 2 years, our relationship has just grown like crazy.
Yeah. I actually wasn't even supposed to go to that event. I left the next morning, I think at like 7 o'clock in the morning to go to the Bahamas. And they reached out and asked if I was interested in going to this event. And they said, "We think that you'd be a really good fit. You should come join us." We were going to a different event of theirs, and they were like, "Just come for free. Just come, right? Hang out, meet people. We think you add good value." So I drove up there for the day. I think I left my house at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get there on time. And then I don't think we left till 7 or 8. We drove home pretty late, packed our bags, and basically headed to the Bahamas. But it seems like every event I go to, there's somebody that I meet that stays in touch and builds relationships just like this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How about you guys? How did we get in touch?
Well, I
Do you
read the
remember?
book Go For No.
Go for no,
I
baby.
remember reading that.
Richard Fenton.
Richard Fenton.
Hour and a half long.
Can you
It's on
introduce your-
Spotify.
Spotify, one of the best books I've ever
You
read.
have no excuses because it's on Spotify now.
So I read that book, and I love the way he breaks it down. Most people see themselves here, and they see success right here, and they see failure behind them. And when they hit failure, they feel like they're getting away from success, which is, I think, just a normal feeling. But in reality, here we are. Here's failure, here's success. You have to hit failure in order to hit success.
Yeah.
And so I read that book, and Josh and I were like, we need to grow our company. We shook hands, we were like, we're not messing around anymore. We're done playing the kids, with a small business. Like, we want to push ourselves and be uncomfortable. And so the first thing I was like, crap, I don't really know too much about sales. I don't know a lot of things. And so I went around, and we were gaining a presence on Instagram. And so I found you, and I was like, dang, this guy's doing all the projects I want to do. And like even bigger projects than I ever thought we could do, right? And so I think I messaged you once on Instagram, got no response. I messaged again and again and again, and then you finally reached out to me, and I asked if I could take you out to lunch. And so then, you responded, yeah, let's go get lunch.
Here we
Let's
are.
go.
How long ago was that?
That was just over a year ago. Yeah.
What was your revenue then?
Our revenue,
Was 400K.
yeah.
I think
at that
420.
point, yeah.
Because that was a year and a half
Yep,
ago. So that was
420.
20,
What's this year's target?
7 mil.
700,000?
7 mil.
7 million, yeah.
There's some growth here.
Definitely. It's been
What did
quite
you
a
do
big
last
jump.
year?
We did 1.9.
Great.
So we were getting close to that too, but we just couldn't make it.
What do you think it takes to go from 2 to 6 million in a year?
I think the most important thing is flow. So getting the leads that you need in order to actually get that quota.
What do you think about your numbers?
I like my numbers. They're definitely better than that.
I would say flow in numbers. So Ian McCarthy has a phenomenal breakdown of it. Do growth, to answer your question, comes down to 3 things: is knowing your numbers and bidding according. So you got to know your overhead, you got to know your expenses, what your gross profit, net profit you want to be. Then volume has to be accomplished, because if you make all your numbers for $1 million and you do 500K, overhead's gonna kill you. So you gotta do volume, and then you gotta execute. If you gotta hit 40% gross profit, and you hit 30, that 10% difference is gonna eat everything.
It's gonna completely throw off your numbers.
And so hitting those 3, I think the biggest thing I'd recommend, and to Nick's point, is mentorship. You don't know what you don't know, and when you've only been playing the game for a little while, at the level you've played and you want to play with the big boys, you gotta become friends with the big boys.
And then once you start hanging out with the big boys, you realize there's even bigger boys.
Yeah. What's interesting on that though is I never learned that in school.
Right?
Tell us about school. What did school look like for you?
Well, I was a C student,
Where'd you go to school?
just a local high school, public school. I was a great student until about 9th grade.
Ninth grade, man.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
9th grade the grades started going lower and lower, and my interest in school and doing the work just kept going lower and lower, and I was working as a carpenter at the time, and I was cutting grass, and I just kept working towards that goal of owning my own business. And I phased out of school. I actually did
Did you finish high school?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did 11th and 12th grade online. It was I don't even know how they call it an online high school, because I did 2 days of school in 11th grade.
Like 2 days a week? Or 2 days a year?
Yep, 2 days a week.
In total?
Yep, 2 days a
I need to
week.
get on that, bro.
And then I was a carpenter. And then 12th grade, I didn't touch it, and then I broke my collarbone snowboarding.
Ooh.
And so I knocked it out in a week, and I was done.
Wow. So,
Dang.
22 years old.
Yep.
Finished traditional school through 10th grade. Finished 11th and 12th grade online.
Correct.
So you didn't walk. You didn't have like a traditional graduation where you
I could have, but I chose not to. What's the point? The only reason I have a diploma is because they mailed it to me. Well, I probably don't have it anymore. But.
2.2 million in revenue this year.
Well, that's what we're going for.
So let me ask you one more question.
Yep.
Between accounts receivable and cash in the bank, have you ever seen so much money in your life?
No, not even close. We were barely making payroll last year. Well, part of it was we budgeted for, I think, 1.2. And, we had projected budgeted. So then we had to cut back on our overhead because we didn't have the flow.
Yeah.
And we barely made it through. And all of a sudden now we're climbing, and my wife's like, how do we all of a sudden have money? Like, how is this all of a sudden not so stressful?
Where'd you get that shirt from?
Lulu?
How much was it?
Probably $120.
$120 work shirt.
Oh no, pants are $120. These probably, I don't know.
So these
$80.
are Lulu pants too?
Yeah.
So you didn't even know how to make payroll. It's the largest number you've seen in your bank account yet. Shopping at Lulu. Amex Platinum card.
Yep. And
It's a big change in a year.
we're able to impact our employees more for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
None of this matters if you don't impact the people.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy for me. I've got 3 kids already, so I've got to provide.
Yeah.
But I also have employees that they're going through similar things as I was. The school system is really struggling to kind of keep the kids involved, and if it's tough for them to, I think the school system is good for making good employees.
Yeah.
But if you're not an entrepreneur and the school system doesn't work for you, I want to make you a good employee.
Yeah.
So that's what we're really trying to do.
You know what's funny? I heard not too long ago, those that graduate from college, for those that graduate from high school.
Yeah.
And those that who graduated from high school work for those who were dropouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your guys' school situation?
I'm ashamed to say I graduated high school.
Right there with you. But yeah, no, we were homeschooled growing up.
I dropped out of high school is what I tried. No, I kid.
Didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
Started a business right away. But yeah, we were homeschooled, which was actually to our advantage because
Absolutely.
our parents, my dad owns his own company. He paints high-end custom homes. And we also went to a co-op once to twice a week, depending on what we're doing. So we go do in-person classes.
Chemistry, biology, we did
anything in
theater.
person. Yep. And then we'd come back and we'd learn. We did classes online, we did textbooks, you name it, whatever, to get us all the credits we needed.
How'd you guys learn the skill of communication being at home?
Actually, it's funny you say that because it's a very misunderstanding to a lot of people that homeschoolers don't have
Misnomer,
friends.
yeah.
We probably have more friends than anyone I know.
Yeah.
Mine is other homeschoolers.
I would
Now-
have to agree with that. I went to a birthday party of one of theirs or a friend.
Yeah.
I think there was
Yeah.
like 140 people.
Well, you want to know something funny about that birthday party? We played that like the same day.
We played
Yeah.
it.
So
Same day, yeah.
that was just a fraction of our friend groups, but that definitely helps with communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say with the communication is when we were homeschooled. I think the public school system has become very putting people in a box, throwing a label on them, and to Justin's point, right? It makes good employees, but doesn't make ingenuitive individuals.
Yeah.
And so for us, we were never labeled as a skater. We weren't a theater kid. We weren't one of the cool kids. We weren't a jock. We weren't an athlete, right? We were just us. I was Josh, Jacob was Jacob. And so we met people. We talked. When I was 13, I was chatting with 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Because it's like, as a person. I talked to them as a person because I saw myself as a person, not as a label.
Yeah.
And so I think people get too categorized on who they can talk to and who they can't. And they forget that all people are people and we all have that in common because you get too stuck up in these categories that limit you and box you in. And so that definitely grew us, and then from a business side to be able to expedite that within business, to talk to clients, to talk numbers, and specifically like to communicate with you to a level that I assume most 23-year-olds don't normally do, is like going home as a homeschooled kid at 7. Like my dad would come home and I'd be like, Dad, how was the day, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, we just finished up the shop. I was like, how much was labor? How much was material? And I thought all my friends did that with their dads, but it turns out most people don't, as a 7-year-old, ask their dad what the profit was on the job he just painted was.
Sure.
And that gave us a mindset when it went into business.
And going back to like why most businesses fail, right? They don't know their numbers.
Yeah.
We were very blessed to have a dad and parents that were so open with numbers. I didn't even know it was uncommon to talk about finances until I started talking to all my friends' parents, right?
Yeah.
And so once I started talking to them and to see that like resistance and pushback, initially I was just like, oh man, that's weird that they wouldn't share. Why wouldn't you share?
Why wouldn't you
right?
share?
Because if you understand finances, you get a better grasp on life in general. How to be a good steward of your finances, how to grow a company properly, not go under. And so we were very fortunate to have that. As well as with homeschool, one of my biggest things that I think I took from being homeschooled is problem solving. Because like my mom, she would give us a textbook and she'd be like, study this.
Yeah.
There's three tests coming up. The information's in this book, figure it out.
Go learn it.
And I was like, okay. And she
Yeah.
pushed hard. She was like, you have to pass this with this grade in order to get the credit. Otherwise, you're retaking it.
Yeah.
And so she's like, we got all day, right? And we're in school, you would just, you flunk, right? You fail that class or whatever it
Then they
was.
send you to the next grade anyway.
Right? They just send you right over. Where my mom was like, nope, you got to pass this. And so having that ingenuity and becoming a problem solver has served us very well in business, because what is business? It's problem solving every single day. You get a problem every single day, whether it has to do with finances or operations or marketing. You have to be able to adjust quickly. You have to be able to think on your feet. And so that really helped us being homeschooled.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't that special. Like, I've had to work on problem solving. I was a terrible studier. So, studying, sitting down, buckling down, and working, like, one of my biggest enemies was this right here, right?
Social media?
Yeah, I'd go on, earlier, for example, I went on Amazon to order something, and then something else popped up, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the supplements you guys have, and 10 minutes later, I come back to my computer, and I'm like, what was I working on?
Oh, yeah.
That'll get you.
And then back to the school thing as well, is it teaches you to be afraid of failure. Like, if you get an answer wrong, you get punished for it.
That's good.
That's a very good point.
That's a Robert Kiyosaki thing. That hit me really hard. A lot of my development in the last 2 years has been not being afraid of what other people think about me and not being afraid to fail.
Yeah. Massive respect to you. 'Cause those are two hard things that I feel like if you don't learn earlier on, it can be a deficit. But if you're the type of man who can learn that later in life, it will serve you insanely well.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge change. And two, you're going to continue that learning
Yeah.
as you get older. Where I think a lot of people, they get to a point, they build themselves a job when they build a company, and then they get stuck and they just like kind of flatline there.
Yep.
Instead of continuing growth and pushing themselves.
Absolutely.
How much pressure are you guys under being business owners?
An immense amount of pressure every day, but that's just because that's business.
Pressure is a privilege.
Pressure, yeah.
Where'd you hear
it
that?
really is.
Where'd you hear that?
I heard it from the Mr. Brandon Nelson in his mentorship group.
Smart man.
Actually, in his mastermind group in Cabo. And that hit me, right? Because, man, I'm under pressure every single day. I'm under pressure from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep. And, I mean, it really is a privilege, right? Take all that pressure away from me, what's left? Right? You know, probably a business that's failed. Probably a business that doesn't have clients, you know, so...
How do you handle that pressure?
So I have a great team. You know, we have a lot of systems in place. We have a lot of processes in place. We have a great team. So since 1.2, I mean, team of 6 or 8 people to 10 million of 50 people, and then possibly 70 or 75 people after some acquisitions. Like a lot of that is team, right? So, and training. You know, we have a very, very, very thorough training process, and we don't allow our team to be in front of our clients until they're ready. So we're also we do role play multiple times a week. I role played with you just a couple hours ago.
Yep.
So Justin had pressure in a situation with some clients, and he's like, "Dude, I'm about to make this phone call. Can we just role play this situation really quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, sit down on the couch." He didn't even tell me the context. He didn't even tell me the context of the situation, and we just role played it back and forth. Twice. So we role played one. He called her. She didn't answer. We role played the second one. He called him and closed the door. So
Well done.
we tell you that the best place to practice is on each other. Do not practice on your clients. Practice on each other. Practice on your team members. In sales, I tell Avery and Darby and Virginia to practice on each other, and it keeps you sharp. It keeps you super sharp. So I think role play is super, super important. We have a team meeting every single day. No questions asked. Every employee. Doesn't matter if you shovel rock or if you run every single crew we have. You're in this team meeting. You're involved, and it builds amazing culture too. So all of these things we have put in place that really help the pressure. But I also think I would be bored. If I wasn't under pressure all the time, I'd be bored.
I love it.
Does pressure equal stress?
I mean, it can, but I think that I'm a pretty good problem solver.
Okay.
So basically, when it gets to me, it's a problem, right? And there's no problem that can't be solved. So we actually just made a post a few days ago. We were on a client's job site, and we hit bedrock in Evergreen as we were digging caissons. These caissons are supposed to be 40 inches deep, and we hit solid rock at 18 inches.
Holy crap.
Gosh dang.
So dynamite is not in the budget.
No dynamite?
No dynamite.
Dang it. I was so hoping you were going to say, we blew up that sucker.
They always ask you when
Myself, Edgar, Joe, and the team, we went up there, we took a look at it. We solved this problem in, I don't know, 12 minutes. Like literally 12 minutes. It was no big deal. On to the next thing, we got our engineers involved. But we didn't like soak on it, right? We weren't like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? This is terrible. And like just sit here and like just drown in these problems. We jump on problems pretty fast. Client issues, permit issues, like it doesn't matter. Whatever the issue is, we jump on it.
Yeah, it's super powerful. I went on a job walk with you as a $300,000 job that maybe was gonna. I wasn't gonna say the name.
I
But
have not told you what's happened since then.
Well, I watched you go from she was so upset with the situation that was out of your control, or people would say that it's not your fault, right? And she's going, I can't trust you to take on this part of the project, to she was smiling, shook everybody's hands, and was ready to take on the next part of the project.
So since then, I gotta tell you what happened.
Okay.
2 days after that, I lost her again.
Really?
Yeah, she called me. She was pretty hot. And actually, I knew it was going on. One of my subcontractors was like, hey, you better call her. And I said, now what? Now what? Right? Like, what else can I do? So he told me what was going on. Something stupid, of course. I jumped on the phone. I called her. You know, we talked through it. She was pretty frustrated. So what I learned in that phone call, she told me, she's like, Nick, you want to hear what my husband said to me? I said, sure. She's like, he said, I'm okay with the house we're already in. This is your house. This is your problem, right? And I'm like, man, she's under pressure, right? She's building this $2.5 million home. Yep. We're building a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 outdoor living space. She's doing it all by herself. Wow. She has no help. Wow. You know, so I offered to help her. I said, listen, I've been a part of multiple custom homes. I said, if you have any questions, just let me know. I will happily be available. And you know what? This is my personal cell phone. You call me anytime. Wow. So I talked her off the ledge. We met at one of our distributors a few days later. The first meeting we had was for material choices. She basically said, we're maxed. We can't do anything else. This was in our first meeting when you were there, right? Yep. Remember, she was talking about the retaining walls, and she's like, I can't afford this, we can't do this.
I don't want to be house poor.
I think she said, I don't want to be a house poor.
Oh.
And what she meant by that is she didn't want to be stuck at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She wanted to be able to travel and still enjoy life. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, the price is only an issue in the absence of value. Absolutely. And it is so correct, it's unbelievable. I met her at our vendors. We went through papers. She upgraded everything. She did all these additions. Before we left the site, $65,000 in change orders. Right then and there.
Wow.
So we went back and forth. I had my team there. Avery was there because Avery sold her the project. Virginia was there because she's sales support. And by the time this was over, I said, come here. And I brought her over and I gave her this big hug and I said, listen, this should be fun, right? Like, we should be enjoying this process. We should be having fun. Like I'm a friend, right? I'm available. Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm a contractor, right? I don't want you to feel like you're gonna get ripped off, right? So she trusts us 100%. We did a job lot 3 days ago. We're gonna start the project on Monday. By the time we left the job lot, an additional $60,000 in change orders. We're now doing fire bowls, additional water features inside of her pool. She wants a putting green. And I said, you know what? Let's just go with like kind of a standard putting green, right? You know, I don't think you need a putting green that reacts like Perdera golf ball, right? Right. Because you guys know, you can install putting greens to multiple different levels and how the ball actually reacts on it. Yep. And she said, no, Nick, I definitely need a real putting green. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. And she's like, I need a place to chip to it too. And she's like, I think I want it right there. And I said, listen, this is who I am and what I do, and I want to help you, right? I think we should put it over here. And she goes, I want to look at it. I said, if we put it over there, and I would say I'm a pretty avid golfer. Justin's a pretty avid golfer. Yep. Avery's a pretty avid golfer. She wants to chip golf balls at her brand new La Cantina $40,000 bifold doors. I said, you think someone's going to thin one of these balls right into your family room? And she's like, yeah, you're right. That's a bad idea. We should definitely move it to the other side, and we'll hit it the other way. Yep. So she added a putting green, but you know where I think I added so much value and trust? She wanted to put pavers on like this upper tier, and I said, you shouldn't do that. And she's like, Nick, but I think I should. I said, listen, I've been doing this for a long time, right? I have tons of design experience. I said, I will take every dollar you want to give me, right? But what I'm telling you is, don't do it. This is $30,000 and I'm telling you not to do it, right? Like, if I haven't earned your trust by this point, I don't know how to earn it. And a few times through that project, she wanted to do some things, and I said, I don't think it's a good idea. Let's take that money and do something else that's more valuable to the home. So I think the project was at 320. We ended up at 360. Now we're, I don't know, maybe $10,000 shy of 500. Wow. She was in tears. Wow. multiple times, super frustrated. Said multiple times, she's like, I don't know that I can trust Rocky Mountain Outdoor Living to do this project.
Yep.
Her general contractor is challenging. We'll leave it at that. But basically, that put me in a situation. Right, I had a ton of pressure on me, and I told my team I brought multiple of my team members because my biggest goal this year is to replace myself. 80% of what I do, I'm replacing myself. Right, so I brought my team and I said,
80-20.
Just watch. You see these microphones? I have one of these on me, like all day, every day. To teach my team how to do what I do. I go with them to do consultations, I got a microphone on. I go to listen to a client who's going to scream and yell and throw 4-letter words at me, I have a microphone on. Role play, we have microphones, cameras, you name it. Like, we are capturing how I do what I do so that we can train our team to do the exact same thing.
Delegation. Delegation is the name of the game.
Delegate everything.
Yeah. So, the biggest way to deal with pressure is people. People solve problems.
Wow. Absolutely. I think people forget to emphasize the value of relationships. And relationships on all front, because I remember getting told like a couple of years ago, you're not in the landscape business, you're in the people business.
For sure.
You know, and it's once your brain flicks over to that, you see clients as people, you see your employees as people, and you start thinking, how can I add more value? How can I seek relationships? Brandon Dawson has a really good point on this. He's like, don't chase the job, don't chase the close, chase relationships.
Yep.
And all the other things will come as a byproduct. He's like, because people want to work with people that they trust, people want to work with people they know, people want to work with people they like.
100%.
And you can't do that without relationships. That's why robots and this and that are great amplifiers, but they're amplifiers of the people that they're amplifying.
For sure.
So you need that relationship, you need that character with the employees and the clients.
Absolutely.
Every other aspect.
For sure. Well, I think this has been super awesome. Right? We're going to do this all night long. I think I'll probably have to kick you guys out of my house about 11:30, 10 o'clock.
Again?
11:30, 12 o'clock.
Not
We're
what?
going to have some appetizers. We're going to eat some dinner. We're going to smoke some cigars. We're just going to continue to enjoy each other's company, help each other grow our businesses, bigger and better, year after year. I appreciate the time, and let's get some food, and we'll pick back up on this in an hour.
I'm going to follow up back on that while we close this. DM him. If you're watching right now, DM. Don't waste the opportunity. Truly, if you want to grow and you're in this industry, or any industry for that matter, because business is business, his weekly calls, I truly believe, have not been validated to the level they should be. And so if you can get on now and be able to ask him questions in lifetime, while he's not being bombarded by 100 people, 200 people, take advantage of that opportunity. 6 to 7 MST time. DM him to get the details. We went from 400K to 1.9. Now we got our eyes on 7 mil. And I will 100% tell you, we would not be anywhere near that if it wasn't for Nick Liput.
Love it, man.
Yep.
Figured
All right.
I'd close with that.
We'll be back soon.
All right. See ya.